Turf Talk with Drew Miller.
On this episode of Tiger Turf Talk, we host Kel Rensel, head groundskeeper of the Buffalo Bison and currently the head groundskeeper of the Toronto Blue Jays. In this episode, we dive in on the incredible journey that Kel has been on, and it's truly impressive to see where minor league baseball has taken him and how far he's come to the point where he is now in Buffalo. And to understand his journey and the reasons for his decision is truly inspiring and very helpful for those who are interested and who are going to be trying their best to sort of get their way in and started in this industry. We dive into his new field in Buffalo that's been newly renovated for the Blue Jays. And not just the field, but the facility and how everything sort of changed. We talk about sort of the different aspects of how things have been turned on their head, from him losing his shop the first day he was there to moving the bullpens off the field and into the outfield outside of the field of play. It's truly an inspirational story, and we had such a blast with him. We can't thank him enough for taking the time. We know he's going to do an incredible job for the rest of the season and for however long the Blue Jays are in town in Buffalo, and for many years to come for the Bison. And it truly is an awesome story, and you should definitely listen up on it. We hope you enjoy this episode of Tiger Turf Talk. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 43rd episode of Tiger Turf Talk. I'm your host, Drew Miller. Today we have on a special guest. We have the head groundskeeper of the Buffalo Bison / current groundskeeper for the Toronto Blue Jays, Mr. Kel Rensel. Is that correct? I'm sorry if I botched that.
All right, you were close. It's Rensel, just like
Rensel. Gotcha. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, like I said, another day, but you've been super, super busy up there. I believe you guys got the word about a month and a half ago, right? Or was it always planned to go back to Buffalo?
It was pretty much always planned to go back to Buffalo. I interviewed for the job back in February, ran through the paces with them. They told me that it was pretty much locked and loaded that they were coming back. So I knew for a while the official announcement didn't come till May or whatever it was that they put out.
So I've been following your careers on Twitter. Again, social media is a crazy thing. Since you were up with the Great Lake Loons, and you've had quite a run with minor league baseball. Could you sort of discuss what your journey's been and how you got to this point in Buffalo?
Journey's been crazy. I started as an intern in 2008 with the Mahoning Valley Scrappers. Back then, they were the single A affiliate for the Cleveland Indians. Did my internship there in 2009. I was the head groundskeeper in Idaho Falls with the Idaho Falls Chuckers. They were the Royals rookie affiliate. 10, 11, 12, and 13. I was in Huntsville, Alabama with the Milwaukee Brewers AA affiliate, the Huntsville Stars. 14 and 15, I was with the Greenville Astros / Touchstone College in Greenville, Tennessee, and then spent the last 5 years in Midland, Michigan with the Great Lakes Loons, and been here in Buffalo since mid-March.
So how has again, you've been pretty much every single level of minor league baseball, correct? Is that a fair statement? How have you seen sort of the differences between those levels, whether it's budgetary things, whether it's facility-wise? What do you notice, and how has it been to sort of get up to that Triple A level,
The difference is all the above. Budgets are different, stadiums are different, the day-to-day schedules for the teams are slightly different at the higher level. That it's so much early work down to rookie and A-ball levels. They're out there at 1:30, 1 o'clock with defensive work, early hitting, and all that stuff. The stadiums and budgets, it always depended on the market size, really. I had the best facility that I ever had was in Midland, in A-ball. So it was just kind of all over the place. Everything was different everywhere. It kind of made you adapt a little bit and kind of be smarter with the budget, smarter with your equipment, smarter with stadium layout, where to store things, where to put things in the off season and things like that.
Absolutely. And I think that's a huge thing. And to touch base on it, how important is it for you, your past experience and being able to take that and using it now? And how has that sort of played a role in your short time in Buffalo, especially with the heightened impact of again having a Major League Baseball team on your field, you know?
So I learned early on that I can't make my new place my old place because everything's different. But you can take everything that you learned and modify and adapt it to the new place. So you just kind of carry things over. You be conscious of equipment's different, budget's different, schedules are different, but you can still take those same practices and carry it over and just kind of tweak it and modify it a little bit.
Absolutely. You came in, like you said, you came in March, is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
And it's been a whirlwind from what I've noticed. You probably first couple of weeks you renovated. Is it just the infield you renovated?
Last they did the infield, so they did like the infield in, so 10 feet beyond the arc, something like that. They did that, and then we did the outfield this year.
So, how's that experience been like? Was that new to you? Have you done any field renovations at your old stadiums? And how was that sort of like again on the heels of having the team come in? I mean, not even a few weeks after that, you know?
So when I got here, it was March 15th, my first day. I was in the old shop, and I knew coming in that they had all the construction, all the renovation going on, and I knew that there was talks of tearing that shop down and building a new building for indoor batting cages. So my first day, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I got my eviction notice, and they said, "Yeah, this thing's coming down. You got to move all your stuff out." So I had to take everything out of there, stuff that the equipment that I didn't know, a whole lot about. All the supplies and everything like that had to get taken out, put under the center field picnic pavilion, and we're still there now. But first day, you're gone, buddy. Get out of there. It's been a whirlwind since, moving the bullpens off the field, all the contractors in and out of the stadium to do work in the clubhouse and all that kind of stuff. So it's been wild.
So something like that isn't very normal, being told, "Hey, by the way, welcome, get out."
Exactly. That's the way
How has it been working with the clubhouse? I mean, there are so many different levels when it comes to like ballpark operations, and a lot of people don't take into account all the stuff that you have to deal with
right.
when it comes to meeting the standards of those that are, again, not higher than you, but they're in a different position than you, that are not in that turf mindset. They're more of a, let's get this game going, let's play, let's do, no matter what happens, we're going to get this done. What is it working like that with the people that you are now? And are you working with the Blue Jays? Is it going through Buffalo? How is all of that sort of, I mean, it's got to be a cluster, with everyone like that is in that space, again, kicking you out, and you can see your makeshift office right now and everything. Again, it's awesome. What's that like, and how is it sort of different from, say, like a normal season that you expect with just the Bison?
So the Blue Jays, their staff. So my first day, March 15th. The second day, the 16th, Tom Farrell and a couple of his guys came down from the Rogers Center. Tom Farrell, the director of field ops for the Blue Jays. So he's been here since. And he's been a great driving force with communications with the Blue Jays about needs and wants, and I've been communicating with the Bison about needs and wants. So it's always being in constant communication and contact, especially early on, okay, you guys are doing this, but you kind of got to think about our layout and our setup and how we operate down here and what we need and how to just kind of form things together. And always just being open and having discussions with people about our needs and wants and their needs and wants and what's going to happen. And things were always changing, and it was just minute by minute. We didn't really know kind of what was going to happen. There was the overall plan, but things were always getting tweaked. So it's always being in constant communication with, like I said, the Blue Jays, the Bisons, the contractors here about needs and wants.
So you were talking about how they moved the mounds off the field and everything. How big of a project? I mean, it sounds like they're tearing the whole thing down and putting a whole new stadium up. How has it been working with those contractors like Tuckahoe Turf Farm being in contact with them to, again, ensure that not just the field but the whole facility is prepared for professionals like Vlad Guerrero Jr. and all those guys who, again, expect that same playability that they have each and every game, wherever it is, whether it's PNC Park or all the different stadiums in the country.
So they played here last year, so they kind of knew the layout of the stadium. They knew the issues that, they had a little bit and how to make those better to really get it up to standard. Taking the bullpens out, it was just me and the guys from the Blue Jays with the front end loaders, the pickaxes, and just taking them out that way. I'm very, very happy they're off the field. Now they're in right center field. So it was it was a little difficult at times, but it's been a fun project. I could say that much.
Do you see it being I'm hoping that it's not. I mean, it's awesome for you, obviously, to get to work for them and be a part of that organization right now. But in the future, how do you sort of see this playing out? I don't know what Canada's going to be like with COVID for next year. I'm assuming they'll be back. I could be wrong. How do you see, the question really is how do you see this impacting your job in the future? Is it positive? Is it something to worry about transitioning back into a minor league facility? Has there been any discussions about that, or has it just been 100% figuring out and getting it done for the Blue Jays right now?
It's been kind of, month by month on what their plans are and the vaccination rates in Canada. They want to get to 75% before they open the border up so they can go back. We don't know when that's going to happen, but we do have a timeline of if they leave, what's going to happen and all that kind of stuff. But moving on in the future, this place is set up like Major League Baseball. We have a gorgeous clubhouse, a gorgeous indoor hitting facility. The bullpens are immaculate. So the AAA guys coming in here next year are set up very, very well. We're set up for the future too. Looking at plans to build a new shop or renovate the picnic area that we're under now. So we'll be set up great. It's a little different layout wise. We got an extra gate in the right field a little bit that's a little smaller, but getting in and out of the field is nice. But we're going to be set up really, really well.
And that's awesome. And I think that's great what comes out of this. It's definitely important to have that. Major League Baseball is a money making machine. They can spread some love. You know what I mean? Sort of on a different note. You were recently featured in an article written by Golf Course Industry, and it was discussing sort of the COVID of last year, and how. Sorry to hit it with the real serious note. Again, their focus is usually golf courses, and their industry spiked when it came to COVID, and we were kind of the flip side of that, which is the name of the article, where everything sort of stopped and took a halt. What was that like for you? How did that impact you, and maybe even bringing you to Buffalo in the end? What was that like for you? And I read parts of the article and whatnot, but sort of from your eyes, how did COVID just sort of, again, turn our heads upside down last year, moving forward to this year?
It was scary, to be honest with you. We didn't know what was going to happen. Teams are going to lose money. They're going to take a big hit. And what was that going to look like in the future? When March hit and that shutdown happened, what's the next month going to look like? What's the month after that going to look like? What's 3 months, 4 months, 6 months down the road going to look like? And we just never really knew because we couldn't do anything at that stadium. That stadium was built for a lot of outside events. They could enclose the concourse there and heat it. So we did a lot of weddings and big parties, and we couldn't do that. We always had more outside events than baseball games there. That was our real money maker there, was outside events, so we couldn't do that. My hours got reduced throughout the summer a little bit. So it was always kind of scary in the back of my mind, like, are they going to let me go? You always kind of thought about your own mortality in the industry a little bit. It's like, how long am I going to last? Is this going to be it for me? Because I had 13, 14 years experience, and now the jobs that we're opening up were lower assistants and interns and hourly staff, and that doesn't really fit me. So it was always thinking about that, thinking, do I just give up and go into golf? That was booming. Do I go back to school and be a gym teacher? I don't know. It was scary.
Absolutely. Something else that I think I don't think it might have covered it. I didn't read the article well. I'm sorry. I apologize. Sorry,
Sure.
Matt. Well, we're sorry. Um, did I don't think a lot of people noticed that minor league baseball, even after it's not done, obviously. Don't nobody come after me, please. I apologize. But after we sort of restarted everything, half of minor league baseball sort of dissolved.
Yeah.
Is that correct? And in a fair assessment of it. Um, and talking to a lot of the groundskeepers that I have, it's incredible to see how much really is gone, and what's your sort of interpretation of that and sort of moving forward, how I think, and again, I might be wrong, but I think the major league teams took over those sites that are still in their organization. Is that correct?
For the most part, yeah. They have a lot more control over day-to-day operations and outside events. They have their fingers in the pot a little bit more. But going back to last year, it was always with the new PDL and all that stuff. It was, the COVID thing going on. We don't know when we're going to start, if we're going to start and all that. And then the big what if was who's getting axed, who's losing jobs and all that kind of stuff. So, it was kind of tough to see 42 essentially of my friends and my colleagues lose jobs. 42 communities kind of lost that feather in their cap that they're going to lose affiliated baseball. So that was always kind of scary. We were never really rumored to leave or rumored to get axed or anything like that. Or it was always kind of, are we going to go to AA? Is the affiliate going to change? Things like that. But we were never really in a threat. But there was always other people that were just kind of on pins and needles a little bit because of that.
Absolutely. Is there anything else out of COVID that you've noticed that sort of came from that change of the MLB having a finger and everything? I think it was Leah Withrow. She talked about how they have these standards now that you have, and you have to meet with the field and how it plays and whatnot. Is there anything else like along those lines? And maybe you could discuss those standards a little bit that have come along. And obviously with you having the Blue Jays on site, you have to have those standards. So could you sort of talk about what that is and how that came about?
So with the new PDL, we got to turn a report every year of facility and our equipment and all that kind of stuff. So it really makes us be conscious about what we're doing and to take good notes throughout the year and be smart with our budget. And it makes us step our game up a little bit because we got to turn all this stuff in. We got to look like we know what we're doing, essentially, And if we're not, then hopefully they can get us the help that we need to improve the situation wherever.
I think you know what you're doing. I think you have a little bit of experience. You know what I mean? Now, me on the other hand, we can figure that out later. We have a high school facility with no money, so we do our best. So with all of that, something that I'm always curious about, because minor league baseball is its own beast, and the guys that work in it and the girls that work in it are incredibly dedicated and love what they do. What was it for you that, again, you've been so many different places and it's not just like a small move, you're moving from different areas of the country and whatnot. What is it that sort of brings that decision on and brings that idea of, okay, well, this is a great opportunity, I should go for it, and you are going to move again from, Great Lakes to Buffalo isn't too much, I guess, but you were talking about you were in Alabama and then up to Great Lakes and whatnot. What is it that makes that decision easier for you to make that move? Whether it's a better opportunity, whether it's just family thing, what is it for you that is that driving factor?
I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but it's all of the above. I remember as an intern, I went to school. I got a degree in sport management, so I'm one of those guys that just fell into it, loved it, didn't stop, and now I'm here. So I remember waking up in my apartment after the first homestand. I'm exhausted, I'm sore, I'm beat, and I remember staring at the ceiling and saying, I absolutely love this. I wanted to work in baseball. I wanted to get more in the player development side. Fell into groundskeeping, and I just loved it. And one opportunity opened up, I went for it. Another opportunity opened up, I went for it. And this move here, I love Midland. I did not want to leave. My wife loved it there. It was a tough decision to leave, but in the end, to move here was about family. I'm from Erie, Pennsylvania. My wife's sister lives here in Buffalo. So to get closer, we want to have kids someday. So to be a little closer to family and have them here to support us, that was the biggest decision.
And that's what's incredible about it, is that things like that do play such a big role, and a lot of people don't understand that, you know. So I appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, I was away from home for 13 years, and now to be a little closer to see my mom on her birthday and take her out for Mother's Day and be closer to family and things like that, it makes a big difference.
Absolutely, couldn't agree with you more. A little bit of a shift. Again, you just sort of installed your outfield and everything. Could you sort of discuss what your makeup of your field is, from root zone to the type of turf you went with? Bluegrass. It's bluegrass, I'm assuming, correct? Is that a safe bet? And infield skin, stuff like that. What are they, and why were those selections made for your field?
So last year when they did the infield, they went with Tuckahoe, and we just kept with that. In 2016, we renovated the field there in Midland with Tuckahoe turf and all that, and I was very happy that that decision was made that we could go with Tuckahoe. I've never had a bad experience with it. It's great. I was very happy, very pleased with the install. The guys from STS, Denny Brolin, and his crew out of Massachusetts came down. They did it last year. They did it again this year. The infield skin is Duredge, the Pro Mix. The mounds are, the Blue Jays like the Pro's Choice Pro Mound. That's fine. I'm a black stick guy. Duredge black stick. Potato there, really. But we always just kind of, we got the big league club in here, so we got to have big league club. We got to have the nice toys. We got to have the nice materials on the field so guys can play safe and can look good and be aesthetically pleasing, I guess.
Did you have Duredge on the other fields that you've worked on?
Mm-hmm.
Seems to be the common denominator in all of this, you know. And I agree with you on the black stick. It's nice when it comes in the bag ready, you know, instead of having to do the whole process of getting that stuff ready. Oh yeah. Now with all that, what are you focusing on cultural practices wise? I mean, it's a lot of people don't quite understand that when guys go on the road, it's not time for the groundskeepers to take a week off like other people do. No offense to those other people. What are you focusing on, and is it any different for you? And again, it might be a budgetary thing, but from the professionals being in to, again, going back to that minor league, or are you going to be able to keep with that same level of care? And I don't know if that's like the right way of putting it, but I think it makes sense.
It made sense.
Okay, sorry.
So yeah, as soon as they go on the road today, we just got done the full game set against Baltimore. We got a day off today, and then we got 6 straight more. So today we're punching some holes in wear areas and top dressing. As soon as they go on the road, it's always rolling the infield, whether it's the grass or the skin, or punching as many holes as we can and top dressing and doing things like that, keeping the mounds level. It doesn't stop. It really does not stop. I may take a morning off or a day off, sleep in a little bit, but for the most part, it's constant maintenance. Looking at the irrigation system, making sure things are overlapping correctly, things like that.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot. That's the fun part of it, you know. How often are you alternating your tines? Like, are you pulling any cores throughout the season? Is that more of a off-season type of time frame for you? And what would be the purpose between those two tines for you? I know a lot of people have different ideas on what they should be tining at what certain time. I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
Right now, I know my assistants out there punching holes 4-inch depth with 3/4 inch tine, solid tine. This year, I probably won't pull any cores. We don't have any organic matter, and there's no reason to really kick anything out. Just opening it up, getting some lateral movement in it, some lateral growth, and get things to fill in a little bit, get it knit together a little bit better. And it's switching up tines. The last think it was the last 2 or 3 times we stayed with solid times, but I'll probably start switching up a little bit more with cross times, the bayonet times, or whatever. Really, I like to switch it up so we're not having the same kind of wear pattern and things like that. Not getting a hard pan layer really underneath that 4 inches, 5 inches, whatever we're going at. Just kind of mixing it up and getting those roots to drive a little bit.
Gotcha. Are there any other like cultural practices that you haven't used that you might want to use in the future? I was talking to someone earlier, a son out in Denver, and she phrase mows her fields, and you don't really have that time frame, I don't think. But is there anything that you would have liked to try? A different type of machinery, maybe like an Air 2 G2 or something along those lines that would have a positive impact on your work? Excuse me.
Bless it.
Thank you. But what you might want to sort of add to your arsenal in a way.
Yeah, if I could ever get my hands on an Air 2 G2, those things are immaculate. I would use those as post-concert recovery underneath flooring and things like that before. I'm a big verticutting guy. I like to verticut the grass, especially now with some of the dead tissue that got brought over in the new side, trying to clear that up to make way for new growth and things like that. But phrase mowing, that's how they kind of took the old field out, the old outfield. So I've kind of seen it all, kind of experienced all, but the Air 2 G2, I absolutely love those machines. I think they're wonderful, not just on the sod itself underneath the grass, but even on an infield skin, just to break up the lower layers and get some better drainage underneath there.
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't think about that with the infield skin, you know. But I had a thought. Hold on. Sorry. Verticutting on bluegrass. Do you think that's really common between turf managers? Because I've seen like randomly people actually like very strongly verticutting their bluegrass, and I've seen people that don't go near it because they're afraid. You know what I mean?
I'm always a big, strong verticutting guy with that. I would do that in Midland quite a bit, just to clear some of that dead tissue out and get some new growth and get some new recovery and get things moving. I thought it worked fantastically, especially going down foul lines and getting the paint out of it too. Just getting the paint out of that soil, it works pretty dang good. And to cut lips down too around the back part of the infield.
That's good. What are you doing to focus on moisture management and different aspects of your clay? You know, it's one of the. I was down at Fredericksburg with the their new single A affiliate of the Nationals, Fred Nats, and they just had. We had him on the show, and he had 6 games yesterday, and 6 games the day before that, and I think 5 games the day before that for a showcase thing. And he was like panicking. He was freaking out over his infield. He's like, they destroyed it. I'm like, well, when you have 15 games in 3 days, that's gonna happen, you know? And so I was just talking to him about it's just the moisture. You need to just relax, get some water in it, and focus on working that back in. He might need to add a little bit at it first where they were just wearing it down with base runners and whatnot. But what is it that you're focusing on for your infield skin for care? Again, there's a lot of work done during those time off, I should say. They're on the road. What are you focusing on to ensure that you have that same ball roll from grass to infield skin throughout those home stands for, again, such long ones sometimes, you know?
So lip management, we definitely backpack blowers after every game, knocking everything back that the guys are stepping on. It doesn't matter how far back you cut that back arc, those guys will still stand right on it and wear you down. So getting everything blown back in. And then my little tool here is on my keychain, the one for the J&D Turf Fifth Sky. That's my moisture meter there. That's kind of how I've always done it. And Tom with the Blue Jays brought down his TDR, so we've been checking it with that as well. And then we've been using a product called Inflow, putting that on the infield skin. That's definitely made a big difference to hold moisture in and kind of flush everything out that's not needed. So we're not watering as much, and it's maintaining through the game and throughout the day as well.
That's awesome. What are you doing? A mixture of conditioner? Are you doing calcine and what's the pro slide?
So that's a
Vitrified, I think.
I blank.
I'm like, I know this. I just can't think of it right now. Are you doing any mixture, and is there a purpose behind that for you? Or are you just focusing on just top dressing?
It's basically just straight calcine at the moment, using the Pro Choice Pro Red. I like that deeper dark color, so does Tom. That kind of choice, so we were on the same page with that. In the past, I've experienced with the double play from Diamond Pro a little bit. I liked it. I think Vit is necessary to kind of loosen things up a little bit, not absorb as much moisture. I'm just not. I never really played with that much.
Absolutely, and we've talked about it. It works for different places and for different people. You know, that's really what comes down to it. You know, during your time, not even just at Buffalo, but throughout your career, has there been any pieces of technology that you have been able to work with or wish you work with, like you were just talking about the TDR, that would have it would be nice to have available to you all the time for, just management practices and different things that you can use. And sort of to go with that, is there anything like we learn it in school and everything with the cultural practices and whatnot, different things like growing degree days and stuff like that. Is there anything that you use to better your management practices when it comes to the science aspect behind turf management?
Yeah, growing degree days, like you just said, that's a big tool right there to keep track of what's going on and, to manage your growth regulators. I use that quite a bit to keep on a schedule and keep on task with that. The one big thing that I'm really interested in the in-soil soil sensors, Soil Scout, Bio, and I'm really, really interested. Hopefully I can get my hands on some next year and get those in there so you can put, a number to how quickly the field is draining or the pH or whatever kind of numbers you can get, because those numbers I can then take to my boss and justify things in my budget. Those guys don't speak turf, they don't speak dirt, they speak numbers, and try to get turf and dirt translated into numbers so they can easily understand that, easily read that, and know how that field is playing is something that in the future is going to be a big tool for us.
So I actually talked to Matt Lowell, who just visited you, I believe, correct?
Yeah, he was here a couple days ago.
Yeah. He was talking about how he had lunch with you and your assistant. With everything that you do and where you've been and who you've worked with as the head groundskeeper, you're very much a mentor to the people that work for you, and I think that's one of the biggest aspects that is not observed by other sports turf managers. It's very much the field, everything looks good, you're doing a great job there, but the biggest impact that you have, I think, are on those people, like your assistant, who are taking those next steps to figure out how to make it in this industry. Could you sort of speak to what it is like to be that mentor and to be able to educate them on how to properly do things and how to carry oneself in the workplace in such a unique workplace setting for anyone who doesn't know about sports turf management?
There's two kids out there right now that are like my sons, my little brothers. Jeff Ross, who took over for me in Great Lakes, who was my assistant the last couple of years. I took him on as a game day guy, looking for a summer job at a high school, and was like me, fell into it, loved it, and mentored him for 5 summers. He put up with me for a while, and he learned how to handle his business, how to maintain a field, how to communicate with coaches and umpires and front office staff and all that, and how to maintain the equipment, how to maintain a budget a little bit. And then the other kid, Taylor Ballhoff, is the Dayton Dragons. I had him and Jeff at the same time. Taylor came to me as a kid, a sport management kid like myself. He wanted to get into baseball, but he put more in the sales marketing aspect. Realized he didn't want to go that route. I remember him calling me, long story short, saying, "Kel, I want to be a dirt person." I said, "Kid, come on back. I'll teach you." So he came back and he bounced around from Gary, Indiana, down to Florida. Now he's with the Dayton Dragons. I'm super, super proud of those kids and how much their work ethic was phenomenal, and they were absolute sponges, and they just wanted to learn as much as they can. And I'm just so immensely proud of those two kids.
And again, that stuff like that's going to make the biggest impact on our industry moving forward, and I think it's incredible. So you discussed like you found your way into this for a passion for what you wanted. And again, the two assistants right there, again, they just fell in love with it. Could you sort of discuss how you found that passion? Because like I said, minor league baseball is a different animal, and the work that you guys do on the budget that you have, on everything that goes into it, is unparalleled to most sports turf managers. Don't get me wrong, I'm a high school manager in a sense, but in the same sense, the level that you guys have to have in order to have for professional athletes, it's incredible what you guys do. Where did that passion come from? Because again, you were looking for sports administration, you were looking for something a little different, and this is sort of just like, this is what I want to do, type of thing. Where did that passion come from, and how has that passion sort of grown over the past 15 years? It's a grind, and what I want to know is what keeps you grinding, what keeps you wanting to do more and wanting to be better each and every day.
So I always played baseball as a kid, played through all high school, and I wanted to get into baseball. I wanted to work in player development, as a scout, things like that. Like I said, took a different route. Wanted to get my hands dirty a little bit. I didn't want to sit in an office and answer phone calls for an internship, doing tickets or sales or anything like that. So I'm an outside person. Just absolutely fell in love with breaking dirt and cutting grass every day. Like I said, I woke up, after the first homestand, and I was exhausted and tired in that grind. I just loved the grind, and I kept going and kept going and kept going. And then the industry overall is keeping me back and wanting me back for more, because since I started, it is just completely different with the technology that's come out, and getting new ways to maintain ball fields and being smarter about it with budgets and equipment. And that's what's keeping me really, really interested. And I don't want to leave this industry from there.
Absolutely. And that's what again, with minor league baseball, and it's really funny because it happens at all levels, like with NFL and MLB and different groups. Minor league baseball groundskeepers are very tight knit, because you guys all understand what's going on, and it's something where you can bounce ideas off of each other. Could you sort of speak to that camaraderie and some of the guys that you talk to on a regular basis that help you, whether it's venting, whether it's other things? Like, what is it about minor league baseball that creates that camaraderie between those groups? You know what I mean?
Some of the guys are going to kill me because I owe them some phone calls, and I can hop on a podcast with you and talk to you. So they're going to give me some flack for this.
Guys, it's okay. This is for the kids. Okay, this is for the kids. We're sorry.
I love the camaraderie in this industry, especially with minor league guys, or just talking to golf course guys, and whatever sport they're in. It's always great to pick brains and pick minds and bend a little bit. We're all going through the same thing. And I love it. It's gotten better. I hate social media, I really do, but keeping up with everybody on Twitter, and seeing somebody that's doing something different, and just shoot them a quick message and say, hey, how are you doing this? What was this? What was that? How are things going there? It's always keeping up with everybody. And you only see your friends like once a year at the conference or whatever, but you run into them. It's like you saw them yesterday to catch up and things like that. But the camaraderie in this industry, especially minor league baseball, is fantastic. Working in the Midwest League, all 14, 16 of us guys, it seems like we were all pretty close, always shooting texts back and forth just to bust some chops a little bit, or ask about weather or whatever, umpires, coaches, anything.
It really is true. You mentioned something right there that I do want to sort of ask about. In your experience, what has your weather, again, I say this to everybody, weathermen can be wrong 99% of the time and still get paid, like, how has it been for you sort of becoming your own meteorologist based off of, I'm sure, the 15 apps that you have on your phone, like I did when I was working with the Mets and the Pirates? I was like, what has it been for you? I don't even know how to properly say this. How important is it to be your own sort of meteorologist and figuring out through, again, whether it's people that are supposedly professionals in it but are always wrong, / sort of understanding your area? There was times where we in Pittsburgh, we're in that valley, and we understood, okay, there's a storm right here. We're not supposed to get it, but because of the way that the valley rolls, it sometimes comes right over on top of us. So like we were always prepared with stuff like that. What has it been like for you and sort of learning all those new different aspects? And again, I've advocated for this to be in turf management majors as a meteorologist class, to better understand all this. What is your take on that and all just sort of your experience with it?
90% of my job is what is the weather the next day, because it affects my cultural practices. It's windy here. It's very, very windy here in Buffalo. I know they call Chicago the windy city, but this is pretty dang close to it. So my spray applications, I gotta really, really, really keep track of the wind. And if I can spray today, or I gotta spray it later at night, or if I gotta hold off a couple of days, it's, like you said, keeping track of the 15, 20 apps that I got on my phone for the weather, and kind of taking a gauge of what's going on with all those, and trusting the people around me that have been here longer than me. I don't, the climate in Buffalo is similar to Michigan, but the overall weather and how things move off the lake, I don't really know yet. So I'm kind of leaning on my assistants and the other people that have worked here to gauge what's going to happen and how storms build off the lake, or if they die off over the lake, or what's going to happen. So the weather is always just that massive unknown that we try to gauge and try to keep track of.
Definitely, Mother Nature always wins in the end is the sad part, and rarely does she want us to win. What you are a certified sports field manager, correct?
Correct.
Could you sort of speak to what that process was like for you and what it means to you? Because again, it is a industry certification by the STMA, and again, it's definitely something that is a feather in the cap for people that do it. Could you just sort of speak to that experience and how it's something maybe other sports turf managers will benefit from going for?
Yeah. For me to get that was, I don't have a turf degree, and I want to keep doing it. So I need to have some kind of stamp of approval that I know what I'm doing, and I have some educational background a little bit, that I can continue to do this job. So that was a big reason for me to do it. Going through the process of just studying and opening up books and having my wife help me out with flashcards and all that kind of stuff. The process was tough. It's tough, but it's fair. I can say that much. But for me, it was definitely, I needed to take a step forward and be an industry leader. That's what I wanted to do. And just keep pushing forward and keep improving myself. That's all it really was. Keep getting better and better and better.
So I'm not sure if I've actually talked to somebody who doesn't have the educational aspect. What was that like for you, sort of being put in a situation where your background was not in it, and again, learn everything, you're one of the best out there to do it, and to have that sort of be, I have always said this in my classes, the hands-on experiences in a workplace are going to take you way further than anything in a classroom that you learn from me or in a college setting. No offense to all the professors out there. We love you and we appreciate everything you do. But when I was in college and when I was working on the grounds crew, and if I had class that I knew was not as important than what we were doing at work, I would be at work. You know what I mean? Because it was something, and I know that sounds bad, but that's something that I knew, like we were learning something that I could use later on, instead of going and talking to my pathologist teacher about spores that are never going to make a difference in what I do.
Yeah.
No offense, again, intended. What is it that like? What was that experience like for you to really gain everything through that hands-on experience, and not that classroom setting?
I learned a lot by messing up. It's true. And
I still do it. Don't worry. All the time.
I was very, very blessed to have some great bosses, some great general managers that I worked for, Kevin Green in Idaho Falls and Buck Rogers in Huntsville, that when I did mess up, they had my back. And they always supported me. They knew that I was hardworking and I wanted to learn. I would set out to fix it if I messed up. So I was incredibly fortunate that when I did make mistakes, I had people that had my back and trusted me.
And that's awesome. And something, again, I feel like it probably did play a pretty big role because you did do this certified sports field manager, but being a member of STMA, and the education that's behind that. What has that experience been like for you? Again, you were talking about the conference and being able to see everybody. Are you a part of your local chapter, or were you a part of it? You just moved, obviously, but how did that play a role in you learning those new different industry things, I should say, that again weren't in your sports management degree, that helped you along the way? And what has it meant to you to be a member of that organization?
It meant the world because then I could connect even more and network people. When I was with Balloons, I was on the board for the MISMA, the sports management chapter there, and the Michigan Turfcraft Foundation. It's even just talk to the golf guys and the landscape guys and keep up with them to see what they're doing and kind of not really control the industry standards, but control what we're putting out there and the messages we're putting out there and things like that. So just being connect on the sports turf level, but overall in the overall turfcraft world. Which, like I said, with the golf guys and the landscape guys. I don't think we have a chapter here in New York. I think they might roll into the Northeast chapter, but yeah, being a part of those two boards the last 2 years was pretty cool, and it was great to connect and pick some brains a little bit about what those guys are doing too.
Absolutely. I'm actually currently in the Virginia board, so I think I'm doing an okay job. Chris, I'm sorry if I'm not. Big thing that I'm always curious about with our guests, what would you suggest to a young groundskeeper who's just starting off, who's just getting their feet wet and really don't have that much knowledge? Maybe like a new assistant that you have or an intern, what is like sort of the words of advice that you give them off the bat, like walking in the door, like, hey, this is what you need to understand moving forward. This is what we're going to do. What would that be and why?
Finding a mentor as early as possible as you can, because you know what, when you get out and you get your own, minor league gig or whatever kind of gig, you're going to have to ask questions, and you need somebody's brain to pick and bounce ideas off and just kind of have some support there. So finding a mentor is the biggest thing that I can ever tell a young person in the industry to do. And then also keep your bags packed, because I was in 7 states for 14 years. I wanted to learn how to manage different turf grasses early on in different climates. So you never know when that door of opportunity is going to knock. So you got to be kind of prepared to move a little bit.
Sort of to go with that, what was it like for you, again, moving from different areas of climate? You've had a lot more experience with your bluegrass, obviously, as of late with your last 2 positions. But what was it like for you at a minor league level managing Bermuda grass? It's a different animal. It has different needs. Like you said, you're pretty heavy on verticutting for your bluegrass. Well, you probably tripled that for your Bermuda grass, correct? Am I wrong in saying that?
No, that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
So, what was that sort of like, and how did you benefit from that? Even now being with just bluegrass.
So when I moved from Idaho Falls to Alabama, Idaho, dry, heat, high desert, northern Alabama, humid, hot, Bermuda grass, bluegrass, Bermuda grass. It was a tough transition that first year or two. But the difference is just unbelievable. Trying to verticut Bermuda as much as you can to get those ride limbs down a little bit, spraying PPR, so you got your runners in the warning track as much. And it was just night and day difference. And like I said before, when I messed up, I had some good bosses that had my back, but I made some mistakes on Bermuda grass.
Luckily, Bermuda grass is just another animal. It just grows right back in,
Right.
It's crazy, especially the new stuff coming out. Have you seen Tahoma 31?
I have seen all the videos and pictures on Twitter and all that. It's unbelievable.
So we are, again, we're a high school program, so we kind of do stuff like with our students. So like sprigging, we've done 3 fields now by hand, and the last one that we did was Tahoma, and we did it really late last year because of COVID and whatnot. So it was like we weren't really sure if we were going to have kids allowed to be there or whatnot. And so we got the okay, we did it. But again, it was like August, and I was like, this is way too late. I don't like this at all. I don't want to do it. But the other thing that happened is our irrigation system just went out. It runs off a well. The thing just blew up. Wasn't working. So we had a whole season of, damn, we just wasted a good chunk of money there, and like, dang it. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have faith in what this product has shown, and we'll be fine for next year. And this year, we didn't overseed our practice field or anything, and it grew in like a month.
Really?
I was like, you got to be kidding me! This is ridiculous.
What was your fertility on that? How often were you?
We only fertilized once by the time it filled in.
Wow.
Yeah, we went high nitrogen, but I mean, other than that, it wasn't. I was just like, what? Like this isn't real. This isn't like, again, like we hand sprigged Latitude and Northbridge, and we actually did a dormant sprigging trial with a company on the Northbridge. So it wasn't like a night and day type of thing. It took time, for it to grow in and whatnot. But I mean, I was like, you got to be kidding me with this thing. This is ridiculous. And we're actually putting a putting green in that space. So we're cutting one of the, like, an area in there. Cause again, we're trying to teach the kids all aspects of the industry. And the Tahoma is just, it's a different animal. With Bermuda, you already have the animal. This is just the Goliath, I guess, but it's kind of crazy. Something we always ask our guests, especially with you being in a situation where you've been to 7 states, you weren't in the educational background of turf, but again, I feel like sports admin is kind of more important than a turf degree once you get used to all that stuff. If there was something you could tell yourself when you were starting out, what would it be? And it's not like just to make life easier or anything, but it's something that would be beneficial to understand going into it. What would that thing be, and why? Why would you want to know that?
Get more sleep and drink more water because you're going to work long hours.
safe bet.
Always, like I said before, find a mentor and always ask questions. You're going to run into a problem, you're going to run into situations. You just want to yak with somebody real quick, just see what they're doing. Just trying to keep up with the Joneses a little bit, and pick people's brains and try to be smarter about what's come up next or what somebody else is doing, so you can take what they're doing and maybe, I like that idea, I can tweak it to what I'm doing. So just always be open to different ideas and just keep it up with people.
And that's awesome, because it's true. And being open to new things definitely has a big impact on whether or not you're going to move in the right direction or not, Again, we have like a young group of kids in this program. We got over 200 actually, but
That's awesome.
yeah. the way we wrap up each podcast is sort of at that age, and it's been a while, and I'm sure you haven't talked to high school kids in a long time, but what would be your best words of advice for them, again, making that next step, whether that's going to college, whether that's going into a workforce, not specifically turf grass or anything, or even if they're still in high school, what would that be that would benefit them understanding, again, sort of the real world implications of what's out there,
Yeah, don't ever stop learning. I mean, that's what I did, and I'm still pushing myself to keep getting better, and have a better understanding of turf grass and infield skins and clay mounds. And I got artificial turf for my bullpen lot, so I got to understand that. So just never stop learning, stop understanding what's going on now, and keep an eye on the future with all the new technology that's coming out with, like I said, soil sensors are amazing, and just keep an open mind.
Those bio things are going to change everything, isn't it? I think might have been one of their reps or something, but it's incredible to see what they're doing. And I think it was like 3 years ago when they just started. Am I wrong in saying that? I'm pretty sure like every team in MLB, NFL, everybody has it now, and everyone else just wants to get it, and they don't have everything needed to supply that. But are you going to be going to Savannah this year?
I hope so. I can't wait.
Yeah, we're going to be down there, so it should be a lot of fun. Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming on. This has been awesome. I hope that the rest of your season goes great. No offense to Canada. I hope they're there for the rest of the season for you. Maybe they make a little playoff run for you.
So do I. It's been great to get to know the guys from Blue Jays really well. Your cousins from the north. Like I said, they've been down here since March. When they started down in Florida, and when they ended, some of the more guys came up here. So getting to really know their entire staff and their crew and the people that work in the front office, everybody with the Blue Jays has been great. I hope they do stay because we're having a lot of fun with them.
That's awesome. I think I heard that they're creating a natural grass facility for the next stadium. Am I wrong in saying that?
They looked into it. The playing surface at the Rogers Center, I can't remember how many feet below street level it sits, but it would be pretty difficult to get natural grass there.
Well, they're redoing the whole stadium, right, at a different site.
Yeah, they just put new AstroTurf in there.
Well, no, I'm saying they're getting a whole new stadium.
Oh, I didn't hear that one, so I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I think I read an article that they were going to redo the whole somewhere, not in the same place, but somewhere else, and there was going to be a natural grass field. I was like, hey, if Toronto's doing it, everybody else has got to stop putting the artificial in. You got to be kidding me, because that's a whole different ball game up there,
Yeah.
Well, I can't thank you enough. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me on anytime.
Yeah, of course.